I probably would have quit football a lot sooner, but it was kind of the beginning of using athletes in commercials. Athletes, when I was young, first started getting TV series. So you had like Merlin Olsen had a show. Fred, God, what was Fred's last name? I forgot, but he had a show on NBC.
And it was and Gifford, Frank Gifford
was on,
right.
You know. So you started seeing these guys everywhere. And then when kind of my own sort of, maybe a little, basically peers, started segueing from football to being in these commercials, being, you know, seeing OJ on Roots. So,
yeah.
Hey, maybe this gets me, because, you know, it seems like the quickest way to get acting is to not be an actor. If you're an influencer, let's get, hey, if you're this, if you're that, everything but someone who's trained to do.
Yeah. I never thought about that, but you're right.
You know, and I saw that back in the 80s. So for me, football became about getting my name out to kind of circumvent the natural process of how you would get acting jobs.
So you wanted to become the best football player and known more and more.
A known football player.
A known football player.
Yeah.
That was the goal.
Yes.
If you were just a mediocre player or okay, this wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't happen. And so.
And you had a personality. Were you controversial? Just a little?
Just a little. But I was also angry. So Saturdays was also a place where I could take out my anger legally. And boy, did I. I mean, as a freshman, I led the Pac-10, back then it was the Pac-10, in personal fouls. Because if you said something to me, it didn't matter if the whistle blew. I was going to exact revenge whenever it was.
You're going to get them.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you think people started prompting you or trying to like get under skin so they get penalties?
Back then, it really wasn't like that. It was
playing the game.
It was playing the game. And if you were a shit talker, it was almost like hockey was. If you ran the star player, you knew you had to drop the gloves against their enforcer. Yeah, you knew that. So it was known going in, like the first play of the game, if you were a star receiver, I was fucking your ass up first play of the game. I don't give a fuck if it was a run across the other side of the field. I don't give a fuck, whatever. I'm going to run. I'm going to knock the fuck out of you.
And you think a lot of this anger came from a lot of childhood shit?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But the genesis of it was childhood shit. But then don't forget the social climate back then. I mean, we were not far removed from the civil rights movement. In fact, it was still the tail end of the civil rights movement. Yeah. We were, at that time, it was kind of really the beginning of the ending of the middle class, right? So there was lots of people angry. And I had a place that I could deal with
legally go out and do this and not get, in trouble for it.
Exactly right.
I mean, you can get in trouble for it, I'm sure.
I mean, 15 yards at a time, I guess.
But how did you 15 yards at a time. That should be your book, 15 yards at a time. But so with this anger and this buildup and this hey, I'm ready for Saturday. I want to be around people. I want to get something that my father never gave me. I want to get gratification. I want to get attention. I want to show the world what I can do. All this stuff. How did that translate into starting acting?
I was fortunate enough to go to the University of Oregon. My freshman year, I won the Len Casanova Award, which is for most valuable freshman or best, whatever the actual verbiage of it was. So Kaz, our coach emeritus, who's actually in the NFL Hall of Fame, took a shine to me right away. And we were fairly close through the years, and there was an inciting incident at the Hula Bowl that pretty much ended my career in my mouth. And so when I got back to Oregon, I was like, I'll never suit up again. I'm gonna go, I want to do what I want to do. So I happened to be walking by Kaz's office, and Kaz called me in, and he had heard about, the stuff that went on at the Hula Bowl. And
You got in trouble.
well, I just made some comments to a certain scout that it was back then you kind of knew who was going to draft you or who had interest in and they would kind of let you know. So this certain scout, after I'd been out carousing all night and just barely made it back to get on the bus to go to practice, said, son, if you want to be such and such team, you're going to have to change your attitude. And I then responded with, well, then fuck certain team. Spread like wildfire. People don't know how important it is in the evaluation of a player that given player, is a football player through and through. They love it. They love the smell of it. They love the sound of it. They love the sight of it. And that wasn't me.